Stay in the car, okay? And please don't wake up your sister.
It's your fault! I tried to stop her!
Who did you try to stop?
La Llorona.
Olá Brasil, eu sou a Carol Moreira e esse é um Inside Warner aterrorizante, petrificante, assustador, porque hoje a gente vai falar de A Maldição da Chorona. A minha colega de Warner Latin America, a Gabi Khan, estava no México, que é o lugar de origem da Chorona, e entrevistou todo mundo do filme. E é claro que você confere agora no Inside Warner, A Maldição da Chorona.
When did you first hear about her? I'm pretty sure you heard about her when you were younger.
Sure.
And how was that encounter with her in first place?
I grew up in Mexico, in
Okay.
Pátzcuaro, Michoacán.
Okay.
So the first time I heard, it was from my brother. We were outside of the house and he just started saying, we gotta run, because my mom told us, La Llorona's coming, and then we went inside. That was the first time. And then it started getting really scary, after that. But yeah, growing up in Mexico, she's so real. She's an entity for us. To be able to now be a part of this film is not only an honor, it's almost like I have to make sure she's respected.
The Curse of La Llorona follows Anna, and she is a single mother and a social worker. And she gets pulled into a case, and where on the surface we think it's a case of child abuse, as she digs deeper, we realize that it's something much more sinister. And the deeper she gets into the case, she starts to uncover that behind it is La Llorona, this terrifying supernatural spirit that has existed for hundreds of years. And she has descended on Los Angeles, and now she is turning her attention to Anna and her children.
It's a family, and it's me, my mom, and my brother. We're really just a normal family until all of a sudden weird things started happening. I play the role of Samantha. She's like super cute, super sweet, lovable girl. She's kind of like the innocent little girl.
Can I ask you a question, Father? Do you know anything about La Llorona?
The weeping woman.
It's a folktale.
To some.
How does this film fit into the Conjuring world? Because I think that's one question all fans have.
Absolutely. That was something that, from the beginning we wanted it to be its own film and really stand on its own. And I think that it's very important that it does. It's the story of La Llorona is bigger than any movie franchise. It has been around for generations. And I think that is, very important that it doesn't just get plugged into a universe. Having said that, we designed it with little Easter eggs and little surprises, and I welcome an audience to go in and make those discoveries themselves.
I saw that you kind of use wide lenses a lot, and then you have like these takes that have no cuts on it. It's almost like the camera is like another character for the film. So what kind of experience were you trying to create for the audiences?
Definitely a sense of presence, and a sense of immersion. I think that's something that, the fewer times that a camera cuts, the more you're immersed in the scene. I think that's something that, Alfonso Cuarón does extremely well. I think that's something that James Wan does extremely well. I am a huge fan of that school of filmmaking. And I think there's definitely a lot of kind of artistry to it. I mean, not only does it bring you into the scene and it makes things more scary because you really feel like you're there. I think there's also this kind of fun choreography to it. As you're designing these shots, you get to have a lot of kind of, it's a little bit of a dance.
Your children,
Rinsing.
are safe now. But have they heard her crying? Have they felt the sting of her tears? They will. And she will come for them. Who? La Llorona.
You told me you saw some YouTube videos, and how was that? Like, how did you approach this character?
Well, when I read the script, it had a different title because they were keeping the title secret. And when I read the name, I thought, oh, I hadn't heard of her. But thinking of seeing the imagery, And if you look at if you go Google it on YouTube and you see the sightings of her, or even the pictures, the artwork of her from for so many years, it was an image that I was completely familiar with, but I didn't know the story behind. And I read it by myself. Everybody else in the house was asleep, and I was a little creeped out. And the next day, I asked all my friends and my extended family. I said, have you ever heard this story? Oh, that's an old story. My grandmother used to tell me that, or my aunt used to tell me that. I thought it was so unusual that it was so old, and it's still, even though it was a story that they were told as kids, still elicited all this fear.
And you scream a lot in this film.
I scream a lot, a lot. I think there was something that you learn sort of how to scream without blowing your voice out so you can talk the next day. But it was very physical. I didn't realize how physical a horror film is. And every day is emotional. On a different show, even on a drama, not every single day is that emotional.
Right.
But on a horror film, it's always emotional and it's always physical. So you're pretty exhausted by the end of the day.
But when it comes to a film like this, what's the hardest emotion to connect with or to portray?
You try to be as real as you can, and always the idea of having to fight for your children because they're being taken away from you, or they're gone, or there's nothing more horrifying than that. As Linda always says, working with the children on set who were so little and such a good actors, that also made it even easier because you, by nature, you want to protect them.
Take to become a curandero? Like, what kind of research did you do? Because that's a thing in Mexico, actually.
Oh yeah, it's a very big thing. It deals with mysticism and light energy. It deals with white magic. It's an ancient healing practice. A lot of people would consider them like witch doctors or shamans. Sensitivity and energy that you have to cultivate, that you have to constantly It's almost like a deep meditation where you have to really think about the values of life and death, and this side and the other side, and understanding the balance, and then dealing with that, and you have to have a deep spirituality and a deep faith in God.
Whenever people start shooting this kind of film, like The Conjuring and Annabelle and that kind of thing, you always hear the stories about them bringing a priest on set and doing that kind of thing. Did you have any kind of ritual to be ghost-free after filming La Llorona?
Well, before even shooting, we had a priest come and bless the set. We had a curandero come and do limpias and clean people to make sure that they weren't, had any kind of negative energy, to make sure everything was okay, because you're dealing with a subject matter that is very dark.
Father, can you help us?
The church works with people who specialize in situations like this. Get to La Llorona.
Is she coming?
She's already here.
Did anything happen?
Yeah, there's some strange occurrences.
We were shooting this very tense scene, and I'm in the middle of a battle with La Llorona, and I have my hand up to God, and I'm wearing a bracelet of these black stones that are to protect you against negative energy. And I'm holding the Bible and I'm reciting a prayer. And in the middle of the scene, the bracelet just exploded off my wrist. I wasn't touching anything. And
oh my God.
And Michael said, cut. And he said, what the hell was that? And I was like, exactly. My bracelet, to me, I'm thinking, oh, it fell apart. There's no explanation for it. And this is a very well-made bracelet.
Yeah, right.
So I pick up the stones, and 3 of them are split perfectly in half.
Whoa.
And I took one outside and I tried to break it on a concrete porch. I could not break it. I slammed it, I bounced it, I stomped on it, you couldn't break it. And we were shooting in a house with wood floors. And they just fell, and they were split in half.
Oh my God.
You can't explain it.
You gave me nightmares, so thank you again.
You're my
I'm quite
pleasure.
sensitive about this topic. I'm like, guys.
Everyone who's Latin knows about La Llorona.
Right, yeah.
Right,
there you
and
go.
she's real to us.
She is real, and there are places where you can spot her in Mexico and tours and that kind of thing. So it is a thing.
Yeah.
Quem gosta de histórias de terror não pode perder esse filme. Eu sou a Carol Moreira e esse foi o Inside Warner, A Maldição da Chorona. Até a próxima. Tchau.
We are facing an evil has no